Now, it is the moment I have been waiting for, and we've all been waiting for, to talk about our final D&D book of the event, Strixhaven, a Curriculum of Chaos. We saw a Magic the Gathering / D&D crossover yesterday with the Adventures in the Forgotten Realms set. Yeah, I played a lot of it. And we are looking at another crossover. The new campaign setting of Strixhaven University will be released November 16th, and it contains everything you need to create stories centered around being students of magic, including academic challenges, extracurricular activities, and terrible roommates. Here to help us dive deeper are the project leads, Amanda Hamon and Jeremy Crawford. Hello, Amanda and Jeremy.
Hello there.
Hi. Oh my goodness, you are loud in my ear. Hello. It's so nice to meet you. As I mentioned, I'm a big player of Magic. I also play D&D, so I'm so excited to talk to you about the set you've created, or the play setting, as it were. How did the Strixhaven setting come to join the D&D books roster?
So we had previously gone to the Magic multiverse with Ravnica and then Theros, first exploring this amazing fantasy city in Ravnica, and then a Greek myth-inspired realm. So we thought, let's do something completely different this time and go to this University of Magic where you not only get to see the shenanigans that go on in a university, you get to create those shenanigans because you, in this book, get to be students working your way through 4 years of this wondrous college.
Where you just go to class, do your homework, show up on time, go to bed, right?
Yeah, absolutely nothing untoward is happening. Everybody's a perfect student, doing all their homework and not causing any problems on campus at all, right, Jeremy? It's not a hot mess, is it?
Oh, it all it is a hot mess.
You say my name? Oh, just kidding. Amanda, what will this book excite players and dungeon masters about the most?
Well, I really think, Becca, that this book is so exciting because it's taking players and DMs to a place that they've never been before. Of course, they've never been on Strixhaven's campus before, but we're giving them these young adult-themed adventures that are unlike anything else that we have created for Dungeons & Dragons officially before. We're allowing players to, of course, have that traditional Dungeons & Dragons experience in which there are monsters and threats that arise and problems that they have to solve, but they're doing that in between taking exams and studying for a specific topic of a class that they're enrolled in. They're also participating in extracurriculars, being parts of clubs and sports, and having friends that are taking place, also taking part in those things. And they are doing things like wandering into the tavern and having a good time with their friends and taking part in games and having an improv festival on campus that they stumble onto and a house party that they stumble onto, and all of these classic experiences that so many folks have had or have heard about or have seen in films and TV shows. These are things that we are now letting folks play at the D&D table, and we're really excited about that.
Yes, I love all of this. I mean, not only are you mentioning all of the highlights of my college experience, but also what grown adult doesn't love to pretend that they are still in that heyday. So I definitely can tell you the names and color pairings of the colleges, but Jeremy, why don't you tell us about each of the 5 Strixhaven colleges and kind of what they're known for?
So we have Lorehold, which is a college all about, as the name implies, lore, delving into ancient knowledge, conferring with spirits of the dead who can bring their knowledge from when they were alive, and often doing so inhabiting statues. We have Prismari. This is a college that not only masters elemental power, fire, ice, and other elemental forces, but does so with flair and style. So these, in many ways, are the theater kids who, are wonderful dancers, maybe, charismatic actors, but they can also blow things up. We've got Quandrix, where these students master mathematics, and specifically the mathematical forces that govern the entire cosmos. And they're able to tweak and tug on those forces using these mathematical powers to alter time and space. Silverquill is a college that is all about the word, the written word, the spoken word. These are basically the literature majors. And they are adept at using these words both to inspire the people around them, but also to devastate them. So, a silver quill student is going to know just the right way to encourage somebody who maybe is struggling with their studying, but they're also going to be able to read somebody to filth. And then, and then, and then finally, we have Witherbloom, which is the witchiest of the colleges. And Witherbloom delves into the mysteries of life and death, concocting various potions. They, in many ways, are the chemists of the university, and they're able to use these powers to bear, both to bring devastation, but also to nurture life.
Amazing. Okay, this is not a planned question, but I need to know, like, how does this sort of integrate? Do you choose in-game? Do you need to choose which school you're attending? Or can you like go to a Witherbloom class and then go to a Prismari class?
So the short answer to that question, Becca, is that at the beginning of your second year at the university, so the second adventure in the group of 4 adventures that we have, you have to choose which college you want to join. And the book talks, of course, as Jeremy mentioned, about what is involved in each of these colleges, but it also talks about who you might be paired up with as a counselor if you're joining specific colleges, what you would learn in specific colleges. And the exams that you're taking part in are, for the most part, what we would consider interdisciplinary classes. So you can participate with them with all of your fellow player characters and players, as well as maybe some friends that the DM might want to sprinkle into that as well. And so, you can take classes that touch all sorts of the different colleges, or you can, just focus on that. It's really kind of up to you as the player, but the book goes in depth and really lets you like try on those robes literally and take on that identity of the witchy Witherbloom student, or, the dramatic Silverquill student, or whatever it is that catches your fancy.
Yeah, or those even more dramatic Prismari students.
Yes.
I don't know. It doesn't matter what I am. In what ways could this book entice new players to get into the game?
Yeah, that's a great question. We really thought a lot about that because of the young adult themes that we worked into the book. We really wanted this to appeal to audiences who would be interested in D&D, but maybe haven't quite like waded into playing the game, or maybe they feel a little bit intimidated because there are dice and math and things and numbers involved. And we really focused on the story elements of playing through a university, taking part in relationships on campus that you would do, as a young adult, as a student at a college of magic. You can, this book has a brand new system of rules that allows you to be friends with individual NPCs, rivals with individual NPCs, or you can have one or more beloved NPCs as well. And there are specific encounters, typically 3 per adventure, in which some sort of group event is happening and you can be interacting with these NPCs, and you can have your rivals and your friends, and you can have your squad, your D&D squad of players.
Yes, I love that. It gives rules to the fact that I always romance the NPCs, no matter what. I'm a typical iffy.
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
So what, Jeremy, has delighted Magic the Gathering players about the Strixhaven setting? I know what I'm delighted about. It's yay. But can you share any Easter eggs for those of us that are both Magic and D&D players? Easter eggs that we might see in this new book?
The big one is when you play the Magic version of Strixhaven, you're getting to see wonderful pieces of art of this place. The difference here is you get to be there. You get to actually walk around the campus. You get to participate in a dance like we're seeing in the piece of art on screen now. You get a complete campus map. You get to befriend the professors, your fellow students. As Amanda said, you get to create rivals. And amidst all of this, you also get to go on adventure. Because at the end of the day, this is still a D&D adventure campaign, and over the course of your 4 years as a Strixhaven student, and this book will take you through all 4 years, you get to experience what it's like to be a nervous or maybe bold first-year student. You get to choose which college you're going to associate yourself with, and then you get to face, like any D&D party does, the trouble that is going on. And I think Amanda and I don't want to spoil what that trouble is, but I'll just say there are bigger messes at the university than just the hot messes that the students are creating.
Okay, but I mean, maybe you can spoil just a little, because yeah, of course, we know D&D's main appeal is that you're a player. As a player, you are a hero going on adventures, but how does that translate exactly into going to school? And what are these extracurriculars we've heard about?
Yeah, so wow, that's a really good question. So fitting all of the fun stuff that we just mentioned into a D&D adventure, it works in a way that I think is fairly elegant, that the book has brought into play. It's that the passage of time is pretty fluid. So there's very much a focus on the traditional term structure of an academic year, each adventure being an academic year, first through your fourth year. So you're having to go through the traditional rhythm of you've got exams, you've got a first exam, you've got a second exam, you've got a final exam, and you're all studying for it, and you know that all of those things are going to take place. You have other social or parasocial types of events that are threaded throughout each year that you know in most cases are taking place, although some weird stuff and hinky stuff kind of comes up, right, that you have to deal with because you have rivals and you have friends, and kids do weird stuff on campus.
Can I sneak attack the final exam?
You can sneak attack people in your final exam, however, your professor might frown on it.
Unless it's a rogue class exam, right? That maybe a silver quill, I'd say.
Well, you know what? I hope that you have all brushed up on your magical creatures lore, because there are exams that are asking you to learn things about owlbears and odiugs and slotty.
This is what I need.
And weird fun monsters that you encounter in adventuring. Yeah, and so, dealing with the adventure aspect, the investigation and the lore of everything happening, that all takes place within that structure of that academic term. So, you might have a clue about the meta plot that's going on that you want to figure out, and you might want to, explore that, but you're going to have to decide, do you do that before the exam and skip studying? And if you skip studying, there are effects that actually happen for the exam, or do you study, then do the exam, and then investigate and see, how that might impact what is going on in the background. So it's a really interesting sort of balance that I think mimics college life fairly well.
Right, and we all replaced our long rest with studying in college, so this tracks.
Yep.
Okay.
You can also cheat on your exams.
Who would ever? No, only if you were past the Scantron, and we don't talk about that.
That's the correct answer, Becca.
Okay, so the new book has a new race, and of course specifications of how to build a character from each of the colleges. How will DMs and players be able to create even more unique stories with these tools?
So when it comes to the new race, people who love the Strixhaven card set have seen all of those delightful owlin, the owl folk, who are there. So that is the new race in Strixhaven. You will be able to play your favorite owl person, and I'm curious to find out if when people are playing through this campaign, if like every student is an owlin, and D&D players actually already got to see the owlin in our Unearthed Arcana series. We called it the Owl Folk there, but we were testing it for this book. And then, as you mentioned, you also get to decide what college you're going to be associated with. And you can do that by selecting a special background that is tailored for each college. The book will also have new feats that characters can select to gain capabilities that are flavored to each of the colleges. Although we will also allow you, even if you're, say, a Prismari student, to take a Quandrix-themed feat, because the students, while they're members of a particular college, can take classes in the other colleges. And then finally, we're also going to have special magic items that will draw you into the powers of each college. Specifically, one of my favorites are the magic textbooks that are in the book that contain within them, Witherbloom's specific power or Quandric's specific power, that sort of thing.
Oh, I love that. Also, I have to say, really good job pairing up Prismari and Quandrix, because if you are drafting Magic the Gathering, those are the best two colleges to combine. But we're here to talk about the D&D setting. A little sidebar. What new rules in this book will help players feel as if they're experiencing life as a student on that Strixhaven campus, Amanda?
Well, we have 3 specific sets of rules that are all tied into the adventures that we're presenting in this book, and they are all specifically about helping you feel like you are a student on campus and mimicking some of those experiences that are fairly universal for being on the campus of a college. This one just happens to be magic. We've got what I had mentioned before, which is extracurriculars. That is something that happens more in the background, but it is about choosing which groups you are involved in, and there's a big list of groups, everything from the drama society to water dancing to Mage Tower, which is a magical game that is played on campus and is very popular. There's a Mage Tower cheer squad if you're more into school spirit and pep. And depending on which extracurricular activities you pick, you get to a friendship point, a relationship point with one of your fellow participants, and you get a die that you can roll on specific skills that are tied into the type of extracurricular activity that is. So that's something that's happening in the background. We've also got a jobs system that you can participate in, and that's tied into extracurriculars. If you want to step back how many extracurriculars you are participating in and have a job instead, you can raise some extra money and you can buy some stuff on campus, because what college student doesn't want a little bit of extra pocket money, right? We have also... Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We have also got the relationship rules, which I had mentioned earlier, which is all about interacting with a wonderful array of 18 NPC characters that we have written and presented with extensive backstories tied into all of the colleges, mentioning which ones they're a member of, mentioning which extracurriculars they're part of, which job they work in, to really give the D&D a lot of life and flavor into bringing these characters to life and really making them feel real. So we've got that system that your interactions with them determine whether they are your friends or your rivals, or whether they're your beloveds as well. So that's all really fun.
Amazing. All right. Well, there's one last thing that I need to know before we go. We do have a little bit of art I'd like to show. If we could take a look at that. The art in the book is beautiful. And maybe you can describe some of what we're going to see in just a moment. And then I'm going to need to know, oh, here we go. So what are we seeing here? If you can see it along with me. I know that's an owlin right there, a member of the Quandrix College, I believe. What else are we seeing?
We are seeing students who are walking onto Central Campus, which is an area of Strixhaven's campus that has a lot of really iconic buildings that players of the Magic set will recognize. There's the Biblioplex, there's the Bow's End Tavern, there is the Fire Jolt Cafe, and by the way, all of those places exist in the adventure and are mapped in the adventure, and many, multiple, in fact, encounters all happen in these places. These are students who are taking all of these sites in for one of the first times, if not the first time, and really starting to just feel as if, they're part of this magical history of campus, and you see them there sort of experiencing that and having that feeling that a lot of students at a university might have, just participating in that fun history that's going on there.
Absolutely. Now, I remember feeling very terrified my first time on a college campus, but these students, they look brave and adventurous. Jeremy, what can you tell me about them?
Well, we're seeing here them going on the D&D adventures that we talked about, that on top of juggling their coursework, their extracurricular activities, their relationships, there is major trouble that they are going to have to face. And they have to find their bravery while also trying to pass their tests. And on this journey they're making down that cliffside, surely ahead of them there are monsters. And we would be remiss not to mention that this book also includes a bestiary with over 40 new creatures that are useful not only within Strixhaven, but within any D&D campaign. And those students, I'm sure, are about to go face some of the trouble that the book's bestiary chapter lays out for them.
Absolutely. I can't wait to find out some of the surprises in this bestiary, but because we're almost out of time, I have to ask you both the most important question, which is, of course, which college would you belong to and why? Amanda?
Well, I think for me, I'm going to have to pick Silverquill. It's all about the magic of ink and words, and I have a flair for the dramatic that I think really fits me well into there. And like making weird writings. We're not going to say graffiti that is interesting in its nature, but I think I'm definitely all about the words and the ink magic that school is about.
Yes, and Jeremy, what college would you be?
Lorehold. It was a hard choice for me because it was between Lorehold and Silverquill. But at the end of the day, as much as I love the magic of words, as you can see on the wall behind me with books, I love delving into the knowledge of the past and seeing what we can derive from it. But I would definitely, as a student, spend a lot of time at Silverquill and probably a Lorehold student who occasionally acts in a Silverquill play. So that's my answer.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you so much. From one Quandrix player, we gotta. The clock is ticking because I'm counting the minutes at all times. So thanks so much to Jeremy and Amanda for giving us our fix of Strix. Amanda for being our resident maven of the Haven. And remember, Strixhaven, A Curriculum of Chaos, is available November 16th, and you can pre-order yours now at dungeonsanddragons.com.